Well, hello, folks. Hello, folks. Hello, folks. Maybe Jack and Rodney could not get in right now because I do not see them with us right now. Sometimes they can get in. Sometimes they have to go through the Stuart. Sad to hear about Terry Funk. First, Paul Orndorff, now Terry. Our generation is slipping away. Aside, met Terry and Dory Jr. at Stu Hart's 80th anniversary bash in December 1995. I think I believe Paul is, if I'm not mistaken, I think Paul's back home and looked pretty good in the photograph with his son. I'm not for sure Paul wasn't drinking a beer on the 4th of July celebrations. I could be wrong about that. I could be wrong, but I really believe that's true. I wonder if Jack had a problem getting in on. Did you have a problem getting in, Rodney?
I did. I had to come back out and then come back in again.
He may have to go through on the link. I think I sent him the link, so hopefully he's.
I hear him. I hear him coming in.
I see him.
You need to change your name.
Stuart, he did have a beer in his hand. I thought he did. Jack, did you see Paul Orndorff in the picture?
I did.
As bad as he looked, and then he looked pretty good drinking the beer on 4th of July.
Yep.
That was good. That was good to hear. Stuart, when you're talking about Terry Funk, is he sick right now?
There were a lot of reports going around. We heard them too that he was in assisted living, and he was, but he's much better. Called a friend of mine who is on the board at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and he called Terry. I guess sometime about the middle of last week, and Terry was already back home and doing a lot better.
All right, good deal. Michael Barr is with us. Richard Hood has checked in. He said, "Hi, Brent, aka Rodney Steele." Am I still Rodney over there?
Yes.
He did look good. Yeah, I thought Paul looked great in that picture compared to what he looked like on that. I mean, he looked bad. Hello from Rick Brooks. Let's see. So he's got dementia, Terry?
If he does, now there's been no official statement on that. This is friends of friends basically saying that. My buddy that talked to him said, well, a couple of them actually said that they couldn't tell if there's anything wrong with him. Said he was carrying on great conversations, having fun, cutting up just like he always has. He's 77 years old, so you're going to have issues with health as you get older.
But people said that about Bill Dundee too, and I've talked to Bill Dundee, and Rodney just talked to him the other day, and he knows everything going on.
Well, see, that's the thing is, when I ran into him, he was having a little cognitive issues. Come to find out, his medication was messed up. Yeah. So, and I think that may be the deal with Paul Orndorff is they got his medication straightened out, and he's doing a lot better.
Good. I like to hear that because, Bill does have something that he has to take because he has when he's talking, he has that he does for some reason now. I don't know what that is. So he's probably have to take to control that, I would think, whatever that is. I'm not for sure what it is. I noticed that when we did interviews with him. Michael Barr, my son and I were talking about some of the top 100 wrestlers, and we were curious about going back in time, some of the old wrestlers that have passed on as well. Yeah, there's so many that have passed on. So many. And when you start looking at that, when you start looking at a list, there's so many of them. Like Tojo, no longer with us. Brad Armstrong, no longer with us. So, Stuart Kemp, that is a disease that sadly you can have great days and other days not so good. Yeah. Rick Brooks, people were saying that was an old pic with Paul. I thought it was a current from the 4th of July.
It's a current. His son posted it.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all ready? Let's do
When
this.
you change your name.
Oh, let me change my name. I have been Rodney many times, so I'll change that there. All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, Rodney, you'll be able to. Can you? I guess you can see this and click me in. Big.
Oh yeah, I can zoom me in there, cameraman.
Zoom me in when it comes time. All right, going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Let's right now go through Georgia Championship Wrestling, one of the greatest wrestling organizations of all time. We were there from 1973, the end of 1973 to 1983 for over 10 years with our father, Ronnie West, and he refereed and was in the office. And we always would get these programs. He would bring them home every day. Here is the beginning of this program as we see Wildfire Tommy Rich and the Chief Wahoo McDaniel. This was in 1979. And Rodney, I'm going to open this up. I'm not going to be able to see it, so I'll let you.
One of the most riveting appearances on Georgia Championship Wrestling. Bill Apter was on Georgia Championship Wrestling, and apparently they were going to present some kind of award. The Real Junkyard Dog, yes, Norvell Austin on the program. Of course, on the other side, World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race, Georgia Television Champion Bob Armstrong, Georgia Tag Team titles held up, and the Georgia Heavyweight Champion was the Superstar.
Alrighty.
All right, these are matches from the Atlanta City Auditorium, it looks like. It was Ric Flair against Wahoo McDaniel in an Indian strap match. It was Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff against Mad Dog Vachon. King Kong Monster, Bob Armstrong. And, at the top, and then at the bottom, it's Big Bill Dromo and Blackjack Lanza. And then on television, it's the Superstar. And I'm not sure who is wrestling in there. Then we have Tenru and Mr. Wrestling 1, Tim Woods with Gordon Soley. Tommy Rich in action. Looks like maybe Kirk Von Hess. Not sure who the guy was on the end. And of course, Rick Oliver against looks like Ben Alexander. Ron West, the referee in that picture.
Mad Dog Vachon. Let's talk about Mad Dog Vachon for just a second. Mad Dog Vachon, if I'm not mistaken, did they not bring him in and he was in a cage?
Yes.
And it was covered up?
Yes. And it Yes, he was. And he was in this, he had like gauze all over him. And he was there coming to Georgia because he's going to operate on Ole Anderson and Ivan Koloff.
Good stuff. I guess he did wrestle in Atlanta prior to this, but he never came back after this. He came into this one show, and he never came back, but it drew pretty good. And it was at the Omni. I'm pretty sure that
now
match.
he was in Columbus that week also.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, they did the one match. I believe it was him and Dusty against, or it could have been him and Tommy against Ole and Ivan. It was a really good match, though. I remember that.
Did they use the same ring in the Atlanta City Auditorium they used in the Omni?
I would say so. I'm not sure, though.
Well, the reason I say that, the Omni, you could always tell the Omni because of the ropes. See, the ropes had the white thing on there.
Yeah.
Well, that was the one in the Omni. So, but this is not the Omni. This is the Atlanta City Auditorium. I'm pretty sure of that. So, and on the back of this, Tendrew, great wrestler, by the way. Man, he used to do this thing where he would slap, and he'd keep on slapping the guy till he got into the corner, and then he would bill him out of it. I always loved that. Do you remember that?
I do.
Tremendous.
I got to see him live several times. I thought he
was tremendous. Even at this point, he was tremendous. And he was sent over because back in those days, they would send the Japanese wrestlers, and they would go to Atlanta, they would go to Memphis, they would go to all the territories, and then for about a year, and then when they come back and become big stars in Japan. Because they learned the American style and learned how to wrestle Americans, and it was they always got over. All right, here is.
Zoom in there, cameraman. Hold on. It's Bobo Brazil, We got Chief Walker McDaniel, Ivan Koloff, and Bobby Heenan.
It was not the brain yet, by the way.
It was pretty boy, Bobby Heenan at the time. Let's see.
Wait a minute, I'm dropping there.
Looks like Ole Anderson and Tommy Rich, Dusty Rhodes and Dusty Rhodes and Tommy Rich, Ole Anderson, Missouri Mauler against Jerry Briscoe, and it looks like a women's match with Jerry Roberts and Bill Howard, and I believe that was Moolah in the corner over there.
Yes, that must have been a mixed tag match on that. Okay, here we go.
I believe Jerry Roberts did in fact wrestle for the women's world title. On television.
Oh, man, I can't hold on to that after that. All right.
Let's see. We've got Hanson and Rich against Carl Fergie and Starr. It's Jerry Stubbs, Mike Stallings. It's Tenru and Mike Stallings against Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff. Television is Ben Alexander against Jerry Roberts, and then fans in the audience. And on the back, the Georgia heavyweight champion, the Superstar.
Love that
man.
Belt. Love that belt. By the way, folks, if you ever have a belt, and that was a beautiful belt, by the way, the Georgia Heavyweight Championship, beautiful belt. Just don't clean it with toothpaste. It will turn green. We know. We done it.
That's right.
We did that, so it was in very bad shape, by the way. All right, we'll go through one more program, and then we'll move on. Here is Stan the Man Hansen right there.
Yep.
And this is when he turned, by the way, I believe. All right, right.
Again. It's Ole Anderson. He's talking about with Gordon Soley. Then he talks. Then Stan Hansen comes out there and gives Ole his money back and tells him to take it to. And that's a great picture of Ole with that money in his hand and that face. Just awesome. Awesome.
All right.
Then we've got Rufus R. Jones on the program, it looks like, against Rick Oliver. Let's see, Thunderbolt Patterson and Tommy Rich against, looks like Dusek and Larry Latham. I forgot his first name. It wasn't Danny.
Frank. I think it was Frank.
Frank Dusek, that's right.
Yep.
It's Bob Armstrong against Blackjack Lanza. Walter McDaniel against, I can't really make that out at the bottom there. And then it's Tommy Rich and Ole Anderson. And of course, both bottom pictures are.
By the way, Larry Latham would later become Moondog Spot.
Okay, then we have the back. It's the Superstar, Mr. Wrestling, number 1. Thunderbolt Patterson and Tommy Rich. Bob Armstrong, Pierre Lefevre, and Raymond Rougeau on the back.
Well, Raymond Rougeau was always good. And then on the back, Bob Armstrong. Man, I miss those days. I'm telling you, I miss those days when people could come up and get an autograph right there at ringside. I miss those days. That was tremendous. If you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the page if you haven't already. Go one step further, hit that notification bell, and watch the video right below us right now. Go ahead and click on that. Watch that next video, and just keep on watching. We got a lot of stuff just right there next to Jack. Just go ahead and click on that. We'll see you on the next video right here on Pro Wrestling Inside Now. Oh, I love these programs. I really relive these, and I can just see it happening. I can remember that Tendrew, he'd do that thing, and the people would go nuts. And it was so simple.
It was chops. It was chops.
Yeah. And it was so simple. And then he'd get the guy to the end. He would peel him out of that thing, and the people would go nuts. And Tendrew was the first match most of the time. Got to remember this. He was the first match. People just go nuts for him. All right, let me see, and then we'll do this other one because we're not gonna play that the one we did last night. Let's see. Michael Barr. I was talking to the wife and son about going to Georgia in October, but they are curious about blindfolding the audience. Well, they want you to just hear it. We just want you to hear it. And it's going to be the same two guys over and over again, just pounding on the mat. You'll never know that. Yeah, if y'all have never seen a blindfold battle royal, it's very entertaining. That's a very entertaining thing. Aaron, I heard Rodney had some guy called Tojo Package on his list.
I have no idea what that means.
WWE was doing a big special on Lex Luger, and it was supposed to have been on Sunday, 4th of July, and they pulled it for whatever reason. And I swear, when I read that from a distance, I could hear Rodney going,
yes, you're exactly right.
Brent, no, I did not get in touch with him. I will get in touch with him Thursday. I'll try to get in touch with him Thursday or later on tonight and set that up for an interview with Larry Hamilton. And, our Jack or Rodney. Well, Rodney can't do that. He don't have no Facebook page. Rodney is anti-Facebook. So he like but I will get in touch with him because I definitely want to get him on the interview. Nick Patrick also is going to come back and do an interview. Also everybody knows July. What's the last July Monday in July? Is that the 26th?
Yes.
Monday, July 26th, on the same exact show. Me, Rodney, or Jack, either one will have to be on this program. Neither one of us. Charlie Platt, Les Thatcher, both on the same program.
Oh my goodness.
They will be on the same program, and on that night we will go an extra 30 minutes. I'm not for sure we'll do the deal, but we'll go a little extra because when they get together, we're pretty sure that's going to go a whole distance. So I'm going to try to give them a little bit of overtime because they're going to be talking about a lot of things they did together. And it'll be good, but they have both agreed to come on and do it together. So it's
that'll be great.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
Yeah, it will be good. So, it kind of disappointed me when the titles were held up. About what? What was he talking about?
He was talking about when remember we said the belts were held up. That was over, I think, Mad Dog Vachon and I believe it was Dusty against Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff.
Yeah,
it seemed like, and the belts were held up after that.
So they won the belts, but
that would be setting up for the tag team tournament for Thanksgiving night, where they won the Cadillacs, right? Wouldn't that be right?
I believe so.
Where Wahoo and Tommy Rich won the Cadillacs, and then they beat Wahoo. Then they beat Wahoo up in the front of the parking lot there, and the Atlanta Police Department was not happy about that.
Okay, Jack, did you ever get any of these programs? Did you ever buy them?
Oh yeah, I did.
All right, this is a number 17. So were these programs numbered based on the week?
I believe so.
So that would have been the 17th week. So we're talking. This would have been sometime in March, right? April.
Yeah, that's right.
But that does not mean they didn't have sometime around Easter. They didn't have
another tournament. That's right.
Another tournament. So that we'd have to go back and look at that and see if they did have that. Mad Dog Vachon opened a back door to the plane while it's. I don't think it was Mad Dog. I think it was Butcher Vachon.
Yeah.
They said he was Billy Jack Haynes before there's ever a Billy Jack Haynes. They said he was.
And Butcher's still with us. He's on Facebook.
I bet he could tell us some stories.
I bet he could.
But he may not remember.
I've seen him. He's been on these WWF shows I've been watching.
Michael Barr, was there ever, as far as anyone knows, a wrestler wearing a mask that won the World Heavyweight title? No. I guess Rey Mysterio. I mean, if you would have, but not back in the
not when the world title was the world title. No,
that would probably.
I mean, you got to remember, in New York, you couldn't even wear a mask in Madison Square Garden for years.
That's the reason Mil Mascaras for years didn't wrestle there.
Yep, he was the first one they made the exception for.
And then eventually the Invaders was there, and I don't
And
like the Invaders.
now the Executioners were there as well.
Yeah,
they were managed by Captain Louis Albano.
Mad Dog, Butcher, and Stan Vachon versus the Torres brothers sold out everywhere they wrestled in Georgia in the late 60s.
No doubt.
Yeah, I heard the Torres brothers. Dad always talked about them. He loved them. He thought they were tremendous. Rodney ain't right. That's what Michael Barr said.
Well, I can assure you that, as you noticed, the Fabulous Moolah was still the women's world champion, so that it tells you what happened to Jerry Roberts.
Hey, one of the best matches I ever seen was Jerry Roberts and Steve O against Joyce Grable and
Judy Martin. Yeah,
Judy Martin. Man, those were some good matches. Great cards from way back then. Thanks for sharing them. We enjoy going through these programs. Did the Missouri Mauler and the Assassin ever wrestle together as brothers? I don't know for sure they did. Maybe they did at the beginning.
I remember.
I think I've heard him talk about, but he would go other territories. So Michael Barr, seeing those old programs take me back in times at the cafe. Yeah. Just these bring back a lot of memories, good memories too. Now in 1979, I won't say the memories was as good in 1980. I won't say they was as good. Something happened. I asked Bobo for an autograph back in '68, and he said, "Come back in 2 weeks. I'll be here." I finally got it in 1980. Well, at least he remembered. He remembered to give you that autograph. Richard Who said it was Mad Dog Vachon.
I pulled the story up, and it is.
Is it?
He's correct. It is Mad Dog. It was in a small, unpressurized airplane, though.
Okay. Charles said the match you were talking about, Rodney, was on May 18th, 1979, when Jerry Roberts jumped in the ring and made the 3 count. Yes.
I remember that now. Yes, I remember that.
Yes, I do remember that because he wasn't a referee. I can remember Jerry being very excited about being part of the main event. You remember that, Rodney? Mm-hmm. He was glowing that he was a part of that main event. I always thought they missed the boat with Jerry Roberts, by the way. I thought he could really drew some money there in Atlanta. He had the look. He had the size. I think he could. And you know what? Unlike Tommy Rich, he actually went to the gym and worked out. Mm-hmm. Tommy went by the gym. He just drove by it. He
stopped one time because the liquor store was next door and he had to park there to go in.
True. Very true.
AWA Mass World Heavyweight Champion Dr. X, Dick Breyer, and Mystery on Big Bill Miller. I'm not for sure I know Big Bill Miller. I'm going to look him up.
Well, the reason that worked in the AWA is because Nick Gillis was not promoting, and there would have been, 1,000 Dr. X's defending the title, and NWA had to be careful.
Yes, they did New York in the 50s, talking about the Hamilton brothers. Okay. Good deal. Rick Brooks said, check into Big Bill Miller, Rodney. He was a world champion, was in every major territory. I'll have to look him up. I just never heard of him.
I don't think that I've ever watched any of these matches. I don't know if there are any on YouTube or not, but I always heard about it.
Yeah, gyms were made to work out, but Tommy didn't know. He didn't know. He never used a gym a day in his life. He never picked up a weight a day in his life.
Now when he was in WCW, he did because they made him.
Yeah,
and he really got in great shape, and then they turned him heel, and he just quit. He told me that. He said, "That's the greatest day of my life because I knew I didn't have to go to the gym no more because I can be fat and be a heel." I thought, man, whatever.
That was right up his alley. Yep. All right, here we go. Going in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside Now. We're going to look at Georgia Championship Wrestling programs, and we're going to start this out. Don't remember, I'm going to show the back of this program first because I'm just looked at it, and I do not remember this robe, and I certainly don't remember this hat that Mr. Wrestling 2 wore. Maybe y'all do. Maybe y'all remember this. Y'all remember this?
The only reason I remember it is because I have seen that picture before, but I don't ever remember seeing him wear that.
Me either. Rodney?
Nope. Wasn't there for that
hat
one. Now, does it have? We can't tell from our advantage point here. Does it have sequins on this, or did it look like that he just threw on the the sheet off the bed?
I think it had.
Yeah, it looks like it had sequins on it. Yeah, so he wasn't a sheet off the bed type thing.
I don't ever remember this.
No, I don't either.
That would have been completely different for wrestling. All right, here he is against Larry Zbyszko. This is when it was turned into World Championship Wrestling, which was 1982. But I think this was 1983. We were there at the beginning of this, wasn't we? Of the Larry Zbyszko Wrestling 2 feud. Were we gone by then?
We were already gone.
All right,
Zbyszko was just brilliant during this time. I mean, he really was on top of his game. And as you know, I want to point out something just real quick here. Notice that the world champion is missing from the program. It's got Larry Zbyszko, it's got the Sheik, and it looks like the Road Warriors as the champions, but it did not mention the world heavyweight champion at all. And as I have alluded to, World Championship Wrestling, I do believe was distancing itself from the National Wrestling Alliance. Buzz Sawyer, Dick Murdoch in the picture there.
All right.
And then you have the Road Warriors, Ron Garvin, Iron Sheik.
Road Warriors, no paint. This was before they.
This is when they were with the Village People. And then the Fantastics. Of course, we were there at the time when the Fantastics was there. Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson.
Yes, this was during the Georgia Championship Wrestling Superstar days. And this was I'd say June of 1983. June of 1983 was during this thing. But it was, by that time, also, that program was $1 at that point.
I'm not for sure, but I believe Les Thatcher, it looked like a Les Thatcher program, but he had to be gone by that time. Yes, this was a Les Thatcher program. But he was gone by that time, was he not? Because he got fired right along with the other guy, same day.
Well, whoever took this over decided they was going to do the program just like he did. So
that's what it looked like.
So that's it. All right, here we go. Lord Jonathan Boyd. This is not what we remember Lord Jonathan Boyd looking like. Was not in Atlanta for a very long period of time. But look at him. He had hair. Most of the time we didn't see that. On the front, Mr. Wrestling. Does that say 1979? Yeah, that's 1979 as well. All right, Rodney, I'll open this up. Oh, by the way, Blindfold Battle Royal. There's the Hangman's match.
Hangman's match. Superstar and Tommy Rich. On the other side, World Heavyweight Champion Harley Race, Georgia Tag Team Champions Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff. The Georgia Heavyweight Championship was held up, and Georgia Television Champion was Ray Candy. And then a picture of Tony Atlas and Bob Armstrong at the bottom there. Let's see. Up top, we've got Tony Atlas and Harley Race, Tommy Rich and Austin Idol. At the bottom, it's Bill Watts and Dusty Rhodes. And it looks like in a Buckhouse match against Ivan Koloff, Ole Anderson. Ernie Ladd at the bottom. Let's see. He looked like he jumped in the ring with somebody. And then I can't really tell what's going on in that last picture there.
Oh, by the way, Ernie Ladd was putting someone to sleep. He is using that to. Let me see what it exactly said. It said Ernie Ladd came into the ring and used a knockout substance on Watts. That's what they're doing with Watts right there. They're trying to wake him up there. Jerry Stubbs in that picture.
Scrappy McGowan looks like.
Mike Stallings. So yeah, he was using the knockout substance. If y'all need to I mean, that was very technical. They got into some technical things for that. Ready?
All right, then on television, it looks like Superstar versus Tommy Rich is Bill Howard against Ray Candy. And then a confrontation between the Heenan family and Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff, Superstar, Killer Carl Cox down at the bottom, Mike Stallings, Jerry Stubbs, Ox Baker at the bottom.
This was during the time that Georgia Championship Wrestling was on fire. This was a great time for Georgia. Everywhere would they go, they would sell out. I mean, it packed houses everywhere. But look at this talent. I mean, you look at the talent that was on this card, and you wonder why this stuff was doing so well. Ole Anderson was booking it at the time. Tremendous stuff was going on. Just tremendous stuff going. You know, I remember Ole at this time. I'm thinking Ole and Ivan was the tag team champions because they have the belt. So I'm gathering Killer Carl Cox and the Superstar was going to challenge them for the belts in the Omni or maybe the Atlanta City Auditorium.
Well, it's they get into it at that point, and I believe there was a challenge between Bobby Heenan and Ole Anderson, Ivan Koloff, but it didn't materialize at this point because Ivan and Ole would lose the titles, and then Ole Anderson and Ernie Ladd would be the champions, and then that's when Ole makes his switch.
What do y'all think about Ole Anderson's switch? I've never liked it. Jack?
Yeah. It's okay.
You know, there's just something about it just didn't set well with me. How about you, Rodney?
No. It honestly, it made Ole look weak to me.
Yeah, I just never liked the turn. I never liked, and I don't believe when he turns back on Dusty, that is a spectacular way of turning on him. I mean, it was great. Well done. There was nothing better ever. But it never really drew the money that they did when they jumped him in the parking lot because I think that made Dusty look bad. I think it made him look stupid, basically. I don't think it helped Dusty in that respect. What do you think?
Oh, I think you're right about that. Because even Dusty said that in his interview, he said that was, he can't blame anybody but himself for that.
And I was there the night that they had that match in the Omni, and it was spectacular. I mean, people were losing their mind over what happened, but it did make Dusty look kind of dumb.
Yeah. It was not. I think that was probably after that. It just didn't draw the money that it did the first time around because of that. It just made Dusty look bad. And then you do too much turning, and this point in time they were turning a lot of people, a lot, and that always will kill your territory. By the way, if you have a territory, you have a town, don't turn your people too many times because it'll eventually kill your territory. If you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Yeah, and hit that notification bell if I can remember you would think I'd have this down pat. I have said this 22 times, and I'm going to tell you probably sometime coming up soon we'll stop doing because by now people got to know what they got to do. I mean, come on, they have to know you did that. But go ahead. Did we tell people to hit the notification? Did it hit?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. And watch the video down below. We might just start telling people to watch this video. That's down right here, right there. It'll be on the. I believe
down here somewhere.
It's somewhere down in the bottom. So watch the video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video right here on Pro Wrestling Inside Now. Oh man, I wish I had videos of this stuff.
Yeah.
Gosh, if I could. You just had the videos of this. Now, some of this stuff is there. Some of this stuff you can see. I don't know who had, because you had to have money to have a VCR back in 1979, 1978.
I bought my first one in 1985, and it was a used one, and I paid $550 for it.
Now,
that was a huge deal.
what year, Rodney, was it that Dad bought VCR? The thing was huge.
We got our first one it was 78. Bobby Simmons, who always had everything. I mean, he had everything from the disc player to VCR. He had every gadget that there was. He was the first one we ever seen with the VCR. But we actually bought ours. It looked like a big tape machine, like the big cassette player. It had to be in 78 because we were taping Georgia Championship Wrestling at that time.
Yeah. And
from Atlanta.
We had tapes of it, but they were expensive. Tapes were expensive back then. And we just taped over it every time. I mean, I'm talking they might have been $10 a piece. And that was back in 1978. There's a lot of money in 1978.
I remember them going for $22 a piece.
Wow. So that's the reason we didn't have many. So that's the reason we taped over them. But and the same reason why territorial wrestling, most territories taped over their stuff. Because the tapes were so expensive. You think a little VHS tape, what do you think of big old the big old round tapes that they had back then? They wasn't on 3/4. They were on these huge reels back then. Even in Mid-South Wrestling in 1984, they were still using those big old reels. We used to get them ready and take them. Did we take them to the
bus station?
Bus station. We'd take them to the bus station. They would deliver them to wherever they needed to go, and they would the TV stations would pick them up there. And it never failed. Every time Jim Duggan walked past, he kicked them over.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. And
just come walking out, just come out like he always, like he was going to the ring. He'd come out, put his hands on his hips, and then he'd walk, and then he'd kick them all over, and they'd fall down like a domino.
And it never failed. Every time, never failed. He'd do that every Wednesday morning. I think it was Wednesday morning when they used to do.
Yes,
it was Wednesday night when they did TV taping. So, let's see. What's he saying? He 12-ounce girls.
That's about Tommy Rich going to the gym.
His working out routine.
You know, his arms should have been huge.
You know, Bill Eadie told me about how he would get so frustrated at Tommy always coming to the match already drunk. And he would make Tommy go until Tommy had to crawl out of the ring and crawl up under the ring and throw up. And once he threw up, then he would let him go home. But he would not let him in the match until he threw up.
You think he would learn?
You think?
The same with me, Jack. I'm not sure what he was talking about, but Dan Lang, Zbyszko retired Sammartino, retired Bockwinkel, became the true living legend of wrestling. Oh, what a spectacular guy Larry Zbyszko is.
Yeah.
Oh, he was just tremendous. You know, I met him in for Dusty Rhodes, Turnbuckle Championship Wrestling. And I met him just a couple of times. Dusty used him on a bunch of shows. And it was years later. And Larry came up and said, he didn't remember my name was Brent, but he did remember West. He said, "Hey, West, how you doing?" And he did remember that. And he was just as nice as he could be. He was Larry Zbyszko. Tremendous man. And he was one of them who could be a butthole if he wanted to be.
Yeah, Zbyszko, awesome. I just watched the match, or rewatched the match with he and Sammartino on television, where Zbyszko hit him with the chair. Just great stuff. Great stuff. And Vince McMahon was on top of his game on that one. It was awesome.
That Jonathan Boyd was not the same one in Dothan. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That's the very same Jonathan Boyd. But boy, you wouldn't know it, would you?
Yeah, he was a Royal Kangaroo, wasn't he, at that time?
Yeah, that was the Royal Kangaroo picture.
Let's see. Lord Jonathan Ben Russell is a babyface in Portland as Johnny Boyd.
I heard him talking about Johnny Boyd on one of the shows I were watching not too terribly long ago on YouTube.
Brent, you went through the second program too fast. I missed the phone. I liked the Ole Anderson heel wrestler. That was his gimmick. Yes, that was just Ole. He was just a heel in general.
Yep.
Ole was such a good deal that when he turned babyface, people accepted it. Yeah, I believe they did accept it, but it never drew any money. It just didn't draw money as a babyface. It didn't matter who he worked against. It didn't draw.
No, they even done that series of matches where they'd bring in outside folks like, a bounty type angle that they did. And because that was the only time I ever saw Ernie Ladd live.
So, and it just didn't, the people didn't want to see him as a good guy, I don't believe. I don't. Can you get Bill Watts on the show to talk about Georgia's split? I think he bought into the territory and also came in as another big guy. I have tried to get in touch with him. I think, Bill Watts is just at that age. He just, I actually talked to Eric about it. There's really no way of getting in touch with Bill through Facebook or anything. Unless he knows your telephone number, he probably ain't going to answer the phone. Yeah. So if we could, it would be great. If he would come on here, it would be good. And his email that I add, it's not even good anymore. So. Michael Barr, True Richard, Michael Barr. Yes, the bell went off. I'm on the way to the ring. If I can find it, I am blindfolded.
You know what? If you're Joe LeDuc, you don't even need to be blindfolded, and you still can't find it.
Oh, we were in. I'll tell this story. We were in Mobile, Alabama, at Expo Hall. And they had done some, I can't remember what it was, but Joe LeDuc was supposed to be out in the ring. He was supposed to have been out there doing something. And now here's Joe LeDuc. Big Joe LeDuc. They might have been 12 fans in his way. Maybe, if there were 12 fans. I don't even know, because the crowd was horrible. And he was hollering, I'm supposed to be out there. I'm supposed to be out there. Just going past. But he was actually out in front of he was right there in front of the people. They could have seen him. He could have run around them and went to the other side, got in the ring, because there wasn't many people there. Don't let them fool you. Don't let the foolers fool you. It didn't always draw, by the way, folks. I bet they wasn't 300 people in that building, in that expo hall. It was horrible. Crowd was horrible. And these are the words we said. We had fired Joe LeDuc that night if it was us. He would have been fired on the spot. Because that was just ridiculous. It wasn't like, Joe LeDuc could have took out 12 of those fans by himself, and I don't think he wanted to run to the ring. I think he was tired. The real tapes, and they were taped over so many times they would go bad eventually. Yes,
and they don't. Sometimes they didn't erase them real good, so you could hear last week's show on there and behind it.
Let's see. Michael Pez Watley stretched Ole down to the CNN office real good one day. I would have liked to see that. And Pez could have done it. That was one guy that I wouldn't want to mess with. No. I mean, Pez was a standout amateur wrestler, and no matter how old he thought he was good, there wasn't no beating no Pez Watley. Did you call him a Dugan when he kicked your
We didn't say much. We just kind of we're just sitting there
and had to pick him up, and then he'd come back through, and
That's
we
right.
learned this lesson. He'd come back through and kick him through again. So we would just wait till he came back through.
That's right,
because we knew he was going to kick him again. So that was a great gimmick, because he would get mad when they'd call him Dugan and he'd knock stuff down and mess up everything. Great stuff in Georgia. He could have got over in Georgia. But Ole didn't think he was any good wrestling-wise, and he would have been correct, by the way. He wasn't. But he had a great personality. Michael Barr. Brent Rodney should come with a rose and call it West and West Productions. I saw that in person for the first time in '68 for the Sheik, and again in '82 in Georgia. Yeah, we got to see him a lot, especially in Mid-South Wrestling. Michael Barr, Jack, do you plan on making programs?
I don't know. We might do them for the show.
Dan Lang, Tommy Rich was found in the gym once, and he was asked, "What are you doing here? We thought you were allergic." All right, and then we'll go through that, and then we'll get off of here. Who was the I don't know what I'm doing promoter who advertised a lights out match and turned the lights?
I didn't hear about that.
The significance of the lights out match, though, if you didn't turn the lights out, all lights out, so it signifies that the original matches, the actual sanctioned matches, it just didn't have the same feel. But boy, when they would turn them lights off in the arenas and it would be pitch black, and then they turn them back on and said, "Now, non-sanction, whatever happens, happens." People go nuts.
Yeah, after all regulation matches are over, a non-sanctioned lights out match.
Not sanctioned, but the National Wrestling Alliance always was great. All right, Jack, anything you want to tell the insiders before we leave?
No, I just appreciate you guys being here. Help spread the word. Go buy some tickets. Come see us at the shows. We're everywhere.
Oh, he said Blackjack Mulligan knocked Ole out at the WCW trainers.
Yeah, heard about that too.
Well, Ole shouldn't be such a butthole, and he wouldn't get knocked out and stuff. So that's it. And I'm going to end this saying this. Great show. Thanks, Jack Brent Rodney. Enjoy the next week. Same YouTube page, same YouTube time. We'll see everybody next week. Thank y'all so much. We certainly do appreciate it, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank y'all.